we will get cracking. And then remember, guys, you can, if you want to drop us a comment, then feel free to do so. Make sure you enable it because we are using StreamYard. So make sure you allow us to see those comments coming through. And today, what we're talking about is encouraging that engagement. So we hope all of your session planning and all of that kind of stuff is going really well. And we're just getting ready now. What we're going to do is having a little bit of a switch up from just doing a live every week. So now we're doing a community chat. We had our first one last week with a few of our members, and it was great. We really had some good conversations, helping one another, talking about ideas about getting back into the gym and so on and so forth. So if you want to join us, then we are doing another one next week. So we're having 1 week where we do a live, and the next week where we have one of our community chats. So keep an eye on the events, keep an eye on the postings in the group, and we will hopefully see you next week in our community chat. On to this week's live though, and this week's topic. So this week I've decided that I'm going to be talking to you about encouraging engagement. So engagement, I think, is an area in lockdown that we've all been a lot more conscious of, how we create that engagement, how we have been engaging with our members. And I think as we go into opening up our gyms, it's a really important point to think about when we are going back into training. Don't forget about it. Don't neglect it. Keep on engaging with the customers. So I wanted to bring together some ideas about how we can keep engaging. Hi, Kim. Hope you are keeping well over in the States. Nice to see you. So when we are thinking about it, obviously we've been doing a lot of social media and things over all of us have, I think, over the lockdown period. So it's important that we don't just focus, again, when we're talking about engagement, on social media, even though I think it is one of the most important parts. So we are going to be talking about that. But it can also be a little bit of a devil, bit of a beast, because social media is so instantaneous nowadays that it can be very challenging to keep on top of it. And you don't want your club or your brand or anything to be kind of left where you can maybe get those negative reviews. So I think it's a brilliant tool if we manage it properly. And it's just that importance about managing it properly. One way that I do that is I have several staff members that I've given guidelines and guidance to, so they can manage either different social media platforms, or they can manage different points or different times in the day, and they've got those guidelines there, so that constantly, if someone drops us a DM or they drop a comment on one of our posts, then we are able to respond to that post pretty rapidly, because we all know that if things go wrong or a bit lazy, then news can travel pretty fast. But rather than going into too much detail on the different types of social media and how they can be utilized for clubs, we'll save that for another day. I'm going to go through some of the different types of ways that we can engage or carry on engaging when we reopen. So looking at the social media side of it, we've got things like tag a friend type competitions. So you can create a post about a new session. Maybe you can have a little giveaway, and then by entering it, they might have to be tagging 3 friends. And by you doing that, by them you tagging those 3 people, they can then tag another 3 people. And before you know it, it's growing, it's progressing. And all the time, those people are engaging with your post, and you can interact with them on that post. Again, along similar lines, you can do sort of like a like and subscribe sort of competition. Again, same sort of thing, small rewards. You know, if you like and subscribe to our Instagram or our Facebook or our YouTube, then you get entered into a prize draw. And these are all ways that you can encourage more or new people to be communicating with you, and you can open that conversation, because we've done a lot in the parents and communicating with kids about communicating. So that's just another way we can get that two-way conversation going. When we're looking at maybe cross-platform, so we have quite a good Instagram presence and Facebook presence. So we might be looking maybe if we can see about how can we increase our Twitter feed. Is it through maybe we can get people from our Instagram to go over to Twitter if they're Twitter subscribers? How might we do different postings? You guys might have a really good Twitter presence and want to increase Facebook or Instagram. So can you get the engagement from one platform and cross to another? And that way you're building a bigger engagement group across all of your whole brand, your whole club, your whole company. Taking it a little bit now, just not necessarily looking just at social media, is that obviously with reviews, obviously you want to really kind of, with those reviews, we want to be acting on them. So if you get a positive review, then I think you need to celebrate that positive review, share that positive review on your within your club, within your newsletters, however that might be, and really celebrate the fact of some of the great work you're doing and other people are noticing the great work that you guys are doing. But then again, on the flip side of that, if you do get a negative review, you can act on that as well. You need to reach out to those individuals and begin to have that conversation with them as to why you had that negative review. What was the issue? Was there anything that you can kind of counteract with that to make it so that it wasn't such a big problem? And then I've seen some companies, some clubs do anonymous rewards. Now I think they are brilliant because you haven't got to do anything. The individual hasn't got to do anything other than what they're already doing. And by giving them a little pick me up, thanks very much, or you've been a great person to us, you've been with us for 5 years or whatever. It's not just about the coaches and the staff having those kind of rewards, but appreciation for your customers as well. So, it might be, we've got one particular lad at our club who is always interacting on social media, always tagging us in our posts. So we're thinking about doing anonymous rewards for those sort of people. And it just really shows that you are listening and watching what they're doing and really thanking them for it. Again, kind of on a slightly different tact, and I'm sure everyone does this, but just as a reminder, offering free trials. So offering a trial for a session that you might be doing or looking to do. By offering something for nothing, then you're going to be, hopefully that'll entice people into it, and then they'll be able to see what other offerings you might have, and they might come for class X but end up doing class Y as well as class X. So it's just, by doing those trials and really getting it out there, that's what can help. Offers. So obviously we all love, I'm sure, I know when I go to the supermarket, I love a good offer, see what I can get as a bit of a bargain. Well, it's no different when we are thinking about things for our clubs. So if we're going to try and encourage more people to come to the club and join in our sessions, and because that's what ultimately what engagement is why don't we think about, there's an offer for people if you bring a friend along, or if your brother or sister does it, maybe you can offer a sibling discount, block booking for events, or block booking for sessions, and they get a discount over longer terms. And these are all things that we can create to encourage people to be a part of what we are providing. And then one of the things that came up from our community call, which I thought was really interesting, and something that is another way we can encourage engagement, is why don't we look at bringing things from outside in our community and bring them into the gym? So let's say, for example, I've worked with another local community, I don't know, a yoga group, for example, and I have some space they might be able to rent. Or maybe if you join the yoga group and you're already part of it, I can give you a discount on being part of my club. Or maybe you've got a coffee shop around the corner, a little local coffee shop, and you can offer, if you're a part of your gym, you can maybe come with some arrangement where you can have a discount for grabbing a coffee at the coffee shop. And that works both ways. So you're getting more people potentially come through because hopefully the coffee shop will also be advertising your sessions, but then people, you're providing an extra service. So it's just all about encouraging getting that better customer experience. Surveys are, I think, are a brilliant tool, a really good tool. However, I tend to use them with an air of caution. We need to make sure that it's meaningful, that what we're surveying and what we're asking of them is actually going to give us some tangible things to work on at the end. It takes minimal time because time is precious for everyone, so we want it to take as little time as possible. And also, if you maybe think about, you can maybe do some sort of reward for people taking part. So very similar to the like and subscribe or tag a friend. You could put, you say, if you complete our survey, takes no less than 5 minutes, you'll be entered into a prize draw for, I don't know, 1 month's free fees. And by doing that, that'll hopefully encourage people to participate in your survey, so you can then get the meaningful data, which you can then do with as you wish, depending on what you're trying to achieve. And then what I did want to say is, make a note of, is that we obviously talked, this is mostly about club and your brand and your business. However, we did also talk about back in some of our other lives, like communicating with kids and some of the parent stuff, about how we can engage with the children and how we can engage with the parents. So if you watch those back, we can go over those. A few things were like involving them in the process, making sure they understand, and by doing all those things, we can make sure that they are being part of the process and therefore feel empowered by the process. If you guys want to have even more detail and even want to have even more in-depth knowledge, then you've got analytical tools, especially for those that you that are going to look more on the social media and digital pathway, which I think is a brilliant idea. You've got Google Analytics, Facebook Analytics, you've got YouTube. They all have analytical tools, so you can even see, depending on how in depth you want to go, where your demographic was that you hear. You can, if you want to have, for example, do a specific advertisement push, you can do that with your target audience, knowing what your target customer is. But ultimately, what we want to try and do about encouraging this engagement is we want to make sure we are creating a brilliant customer experience. So from that first initial contact that they have with you, if it's liking your Facebook page, if it's sending you an email, we want to make sure that it's as positive as possible, so we can be responsive, so we can be proactive. And if you get feedback and things from customers, it's showing the fact that you're acting upon that means that you are truly, really engaging, and then they're more likely to engage in the future, to give you feedback, to help you develop in the future. So that's all I had, guys, for today. Hopefully that's given some really good thought and some really good ideas. That's what I've been trying to do with these, is just make it a bit more thought-provoking, so you guys can go away and have a think about what you're doing in your clubs. Remember, if you've got any questions or you want to start a conversation, just drop it in the comments. I love to get involved in some chats. That's brilliant. And don't forget, next week we are having another community chat. And you want to be keeping an eye on our events page, and we'll be telling you what sort of topics we're going to be talking about. At the moment, we're probably going to be looking, I think we're going to have a more in-depth look at that return to coach contact. How have people had a look at it? What feedback have people got into it? And so, yeah, I think that's going to be where we're heading next week, with a few other things, I'm sure, along the way. So thanks very much for watching. Debbie, thanks very much. Really appreciate it. Kim, great to see you again. And anyone else that's been watching, thanks very much. And I shall see you all next week. Bye, guys.